school, but we're not in a school to give diplomas. We're in a school to help the graduates get jobs. He told his family as he was dying, be brave. So we keep that as a parang slogan.
Your parents are wealthy. So how do you stay down to earth? Paano kayo umaapak sa lupa?
My parents, of course, they were well off, but they taught us to live relatively simple lives. No? And the same for my wife Ging's parents. No?
Gigi is such an unusual name from Aurelio III.
My grandfather and my father used up all the nicknames now for Aurelio. So I had the second name Luis, which became Luigi, then became Gigi. Every now and then, somebody will ask, who's gonna take you out? Diba? They give my name. And then the parents would say, okay. And then pagdating ko, lalaki pala.
As a former president and CEO of one of the country's leading banks, he has left a legacy of prioritizing people before profit. Today, more than a decade after his retirement from the banking industry, he has only expanded his interests and reach as an environmental advocate, a philanthropist, and educator. What motivates Far Eastern University Chairman Aurelio Gigi Montinola III? Find out here only on Usapang Bilyonaryo. You took the position out of a sense of duty to your mother.
Yes.
Of course, that has changed in the last decade. Has it?
Well, it's happily been productive. They haven't fired me yet. But you know, when I think about it, it was time to do something different with my life, and I felt that in the education field, I could contribute.
Your family almost sold FEU, right? There was a time when they wanted to get out
No,
of
well,
it.
let me clarify that. My grandfather had three
Sons.
surviving children.
Okay.
Okay, two sons and a daughter who was my mom. And both of them died in 1982. So they continued for a while, and then in 1989, the two families felt that it was too difficult to be in education. Remember also the 80s. The 80s was really magulo. High inflation, maraming student strikes, di ba? It was really magulo. So it was very difficult then. So they decided to sell. And fortunately, my father saw that my mother really liked the institution. So they put together a group to buy in. And then my mom naman, when she came in, dalawa lang ang marching directions niya. Number one, get a professional academic and make sure all the campuses are clean.
My father was the founder of FEU, and his name was Nicanor Reyes. He was a much loved person, not only by his family, but also by all of those whom he worked with. My grandmother, Lola Kayang, was supposed to have considered him her jewel. He was the only one in the family who aspired to study abroad. My father lived in those days of honor and integrity, in the halcyon days of peacetime Manila.
Did you ever meet your maternal grandfather?
No. That's a medyo sad story because he was the first to start the school in 1928, and he was always one who was very connected and had done many things. Some people even say that the two who started accounting in the Philippines were Wash Sisip and him. Okay. Then the war came. the war was actually over already, and there were these last few days where the Japanese, were supposedly supposed to get out, but they killed quite a few people, and medyo malas chamba there on who got killed, and so his family died. But the parting words, which is part of our slogan, is that he told his family as he was dying, "Be brave." I've been very happy. I basically say that it's business mentorship for professional academics. No? And we've increased enrollment, we've improved the quality of our education, and then we've also been able to rebrand and effectively be more powerful. And the best part, we've done very well both in the K-12 growth times and then the pandemic times.
So, from a sense of duty, what would you call it now?
I've liked it every year much better, so I don't really know.
It's a mission now.
Yeah, and I feel I'm contributing. So I am using my professional management skills as a banker and instilling it into FEU. I've simplified it. For the students, it's a value college experience. The experience is important because we always have nice campuses, may sports. May culture. The value is also is original because it's inclusive. We have open admissions, so we accept almost anyone, and then we see whether they can meet our standards. And
No entrance exams.
We have entrance exams, but the admission level is very low. So practically anyone can get in. We like working with people of, for lack of a better term, lesser economic means. No? Probably the C market, a little bit of the D in Roosevelt, and then giving them the value experience, which is to improve them as students. And aside from the usual content, we like to talk about outcomes learning. So we have
what is that?
We have a código that it's digital learning, effective communication, critical thinking. Diba? Yung mga, so we're basically, kasi today you can
basically
Google anything.
Yeah,
You'll get the answer in whatever seconds. No? So we like to prepare the person for a future experience. No? I remember when I came in, one of my first statements was, we're in a school, but we're not in a school to give diplomas. We're in a school to help the graduates get jobs. The good part is we concentrate on the education rather than on the business of education.
The conventional thinking is there's no money here.
My grandfather had the original idea, and his original idea was secular, so any denomination, inclusive, relatively open admissions, and for profit. Okay, and the reason he felt that it should be for profit is that shareholders who see that the company is doing well will reinvest in the company. So today we have a good sharing because there's roughly a dividend policy of about 40%, but we really spend the 60% to improve our buildings, campuses. Every year we're constructing something new. Every year we're investing in technology.
So there is money to be made in education, in quality education.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm hoping for the country that there is an education resurgence. No?
Renaissance.
Yeah,
even
and then what I
renaissance.
always
Can we
say,
call it
kailangan
renaissance?
basic lang yan. Don't have too many subjects, di ba? Reading, writing, math, science.
We are gathered this morning for our annual Founders Wreath Laying ceremony. It was at FEU where we performed the best. We continue to be ranked in the top 6 in the quote most preferred schools unquote for employability in the Job Street survey. We learned to be brave in the UAP season 78. Let us continue to be brave.
It's so sad because so many private schools are closing now, no?
Yes.
Because of economic.
And here you are expanding.
difficult- Yes, we're expanding. Yeah. You have to run the school well. Fortunately, we're at the middle level in terms of pricing, and rather than get squeezed in the middle, we say, no, we're cheaper than the best schools, and we're more quality than the regular schools. So we've turned a disadvantage into an advantage.
Were you ever at risk during the pandemic time?
Not really. Again, thanks to our very professional team, we were ahead of the game with regards the learning platform. Second, we had invested in technology. So something as simple as saying we just wanted very good Wi-Fi in the campus. Kawawa yung estudyante kasi wala namang Wi-Fi sa bahay niya. So we did many things like, we just make sure our library is super Wi-Fi so that the people who don't want to do Wi-Fi at home can just come there. And then we've learned to be resilient. No? In my previous career, I went through 4 major banking crises. Diba? So you just have to you just have to adjust and see what you can do and stay professional. And on the employee side, this is also learning from my BPI experience. I use the phrase meaningful careers. So you can come in, you can work with us, you can move your way up.
There's a path to...
Yes, and today we have system where we have significant internal promotions, but we also hire specialists for specialist positions. And so and then the best part is if it blends. I've always believed that, just as an example, first 5 is always better than superstar CEO. Because it's a team, diba? So whoever we bring in, and then of course once it gets to first 5, you make it first 10. After it's first 10, you make it first, something like that. No? But you get all the people more or less on the same page, and if they believe in the mission, then you have a big advantage. And of course, they have to work as a team. We've been able to, as I said earlier, not only improve the academic and student experience, but also to grow. We were invited by the Brunei government to set up a nursing school. So we have a nursing school in Brunei.
In Brunei?
Yeah.
How old is that?
It's new. It's only a year ago. It's small, but it's still this business of helping. If we're going to go into ASEAN, we sort of walk before we run. They've been good, and well, as you know, nursing is the big industry worldwide.
How would you compare the state of education when you became chairman and today?
It's sad because 2012, 2013, we probably were average in the world. But the thought was, how can we get better? Diba? And people thought that one of the solutions was K-12. because people weren't learning enough in 10 years, and the global standard was 12. And that happened, and then the pandemic happened, and now we get all of these tests or international surveys which show that we have really fallen, and
We have regressed.
oh, significantly.
You're not a believer in it?
No, we're precisely a believer in it.
Okay.
But I'm told that
The political...
hindi naman political. Many people, including parents, are
Okay.
questioning why do I need an extra 2 years if I can't get a better job? Diba? I mean, this. Now, the saddest part is that basic lang yan, diba? Reading, writing, math, science.
What prompted that decision to acquire Roosevelt?
Well, the sellers wanted to sell. So we were
You were
approached. It's called Roosevelt College, but they're mostly basic ed. So it was also good because it taught us how a basic ed with a significant number of students could work as an institution, and also at a lower price value, diba? Because they're less than 1/2 of the tuition in FEU Maine.
You have managed FEU to go against
Yes.
the curve. I mean, the fall.
Well, I think I don't think we really compare, diba, against everybody else. What we do is we, as I said earlier, parang can do and continuous improvement mode. So it's like any good product in another industry. Once people know you, they want to come to you, they get a good experience, things like that. No? So it's all evolutionary. But the best part is we feel good because all of these, shall we say, regular students are able to get a job. We always say, ideally, they get a job which is twice the minimum wage.
So in a way, this is really giving back. Access to education is
Yes.
so important in moving the country forward.
Definitely. Definitely. I think in all countries in the world, education is critical. And in many countries of the world, the budget for education is quite significant. I'm hoping for the country that there is an education resurgence. No?
Renaissance.
Yeah,
even
and then what I
renaissance.
always
Can we
say,
call it
kailangan
renaissance?
basic lang yan. Don't have too many subjects, di ba? Reading, writing, math, science. If all you do is every day, you're supposed to do that. Kasi foundation rin yan eh.
In the education sector, I guess you deal with more ordinary people than in banking.
Yes.
And how
Yes.
has that been for you?
It's good. Because the Philippines, that's what we need. We need good products for the majority of people. And sadly, either you count it in the real numbers or you count it in the self-perceived poverty. Ang taas eh, di ba? 40, 50. So what they think about and what they do, if you can somehow relate to them, and everybody thinks aspirationally. So if they can go to the FU, they can get this value education, they can dream higher.
What would you consider your biggest challenge?
Banking is all about trust and confidence. That's more than 50% of the game. And what you do is you just talk to your people, you're sort of taking care of them, you have to communicate a little bit more.
What would you consider your biggest challenge in banking?
2008 financial crisis, because that one was that everything you thought of suddenly was not there. Diba? You always think of banks as safe. We were able to put a small group of people together to fashion a plan which would not make gulo the exchange rate at the time. And that's the part I'm also quietly proud, because I had to talk individually to all, including the foreign banks. And we got 98% acceptance. And we did this all quietly.
How did you do it? How?
Call them up, talk to them, say, oh, you have to help the country. It's a nice thing to
have
think,
contributed.
So it's parang like biggest challenge, but at the same time, biggest satisfaction that we were able to quietly do all of these things. Because we never really talked about it.
BPI was solid. I mean, you didn't have that much.
But that's what I'm saying. Common interest is
Yeah.
always better than personal interest.
How do you
Once in
stay
a while.
cool?
Well,
you cool?
thankfully, it's my nature, diba, to look at things over a broader period. So I get less excited both ways, when things are really, really, really nice, and then when also things are bad. So it's just, I don't know, personal, I guess. Helpful, you try to help the customers,
Yeah.
you try to help your people. The careful, you have to be credit careful, diba? And you have to decide who you want to deal with, diba? And in the circumspect, you have to be, I just quiet, diba? You don't want to tell the whole world what you know, diba? So people, a lot of people would tell me, including not in banking, tell me confidential things because they know I won't talk.
Do you have any favorite banker?
Yeah, Saite Tanco.
Oh, why?
I did the super job.
What has been your contribution? And what would you like to contribute further?
Well, I think it's still the student experience. No? Kasi, as we say, our core academic strength is like online and offline learning, meaningful campus student experience, and then helped out by campus sports and culture. As long as we can stick to that area, it will help. Maybe the other way to say it is that FEU will be a respected school in the country.
Whether in banking or in education, it is clear what fuels and inspires Gigi Montinola. It is people, serving them better and helping them grow. Indeed, he has inherited the character and values imparted by his grandfather, who made the betterment of our country and its people his motivation in business and in his short but valiant life. I'm Ces Aurelio. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Usapang Bilyonaryo. I hope it has inspired you to believe, persevere, and most importantly, be brave. Watch the full-length producer's cut on Bilyonaryo Digital on YouTube and on Bilyonaryo's Facebook page.